institutions. Next, I heartily welcome Dr. Krishna Kumar Kishore, Vice Principal, Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology and Executive Director of Ahalya Group for this Engineers Day celebration. Next, warm welcome to the HODs of our college, Professor Prakash, HOD of Mechanical Engineering, Dr. G. Muruganan, HOD of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. Next, HOD of Computer Science and Engineering, Dr. S. Gunashegaran. Next, Professor Kripa Devan, HOD of Civil Engineering, and Dr. Vinay Balan, HOD of Science and Humanities Department. It is a wonderful moment to extend my warm welcome to all the faculty members and coordinators for this Engineers Day celebration. I want to mention the famous quote of Visvesvaraya: to give a real service, you must add something which cannot be bought or measured with money. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Balamurugan sir. Now I
Yeah,
request.
of course, in addition to that, we fondly welcome our chief guest for the day, Engineer G.K. Pillai, who has been a great engineer in his service throughout nearly 5 decades, nearly 47 years he has got real service in India, heading the national level public sector undertakings, and then after retirement from them, going to the private sector. His biodata will be presented in detail. We are very happy to see you here, sir, for the first time in Ahalya. Of course, we look forward to further interaction. Thank you very much. Now we proceed with the program. Okay. So next is the
presidential presidential address, sir.
I know. So this is the prelude to the presidential address. And in my memory, we are celebrating the 54th Engineers Day in India. I'm quite used to this system because for a long period, I've been the honorary secretary and the chairman of the Institution of Engineers Center. And for some period, I was the national committee member. So I used to be very familiar with the Engineers Day celebration. That's why, you know, in the program list, it's a standard list which we do now normally for the Institution of Engineers, with the garlanding the portrait of Sir M. Visvesvaraya, then introducing the biodata of Sir M. Visvesvaraya, then introducing the chief guest of the day. That is a standard procedure which the Institution of Engineers do every year. You know that the Institution of Engineers has been established much beforehand. It came into existence almost 100 years back, but Visvesvaraya, who lived from 1860 to 1962, 81 and a half years he has lived. He was born on, I think somewhere in recording I have mistakenly told he was born in 1861. No, he was born in 1860, September 15th. And he died in April 1962. 1962 means, I think except G.K. Pillai sir, Professor Prakash and myself, nobody else should have been even born in this group. So he was, he died in 1962. Of course, he was a great son of India. His biodata will be discussed here, will be presented here. And we commemorate his birth anniversary as Engineers Day. But more than a commemoration of the birth anniversary, it's a day for the engineers to reminisce themselves, a day for the engineers to introspect themselves, what they are worth, what they do for the country, what they give back to the society. All these things we have to discuss on this day. And that is why today we have taken a standard pledge to be recited by our students, because our students, many of them have joined this session. They are the budding engineers, and they are really the engineers who have to change the world. The teachers are only tools to make them, to shape them, and they have to be shaped so that they become someone of use to the society, somebody who can change the outlook of the people, and someone who can provide the amenities to the people at large. So there is an old saying, if a doctor commits a mistake, one person may be buried. But if an engineer commits a mistake, hundreds may be buried. So engineers are not supposed to make mistakes. They should have sufficient knowledge. I still remember a story about Sir M. Visvesvaraya. This has been in literature for a long time. When the port, Vizag port, Visakhapatnam port was under construction, the baffle walls were under construction, and the wharf couldn't be completed, because every time the wharf construction is over, by the time the people return, the workers return, this wall will be broken away by the waves, big waves in the Indian Ocean, which is in the Bay of Bengal. So they couldn't construct a wharf to prevent the water from entering, and then only they can construct the port inside. So then the British engineers who were in charge of the Visakhapatnam port went to Visvesvaraya seeking help. Visvesvaraya told them, please don't worry, I'll help you. He went along with them to Visakhapatnam. He told the engineers to provide him an umbrella in the sea beach. And one full day, that is from morning to evening, he sat there under the sun with an umbrella and he was observing the waves. At that time, the wave theory and the theories of celerity were not known this much. Even hydraulics was not developed this much. But he knew the basic principles of the wave mechanism, and he sat there for a full day. And at the evening, when the British engineers came, he asked them, have you got any old ship? Obviously, every port can get enough old ships. Even now, everywhere old ships are available. Then the engineers said, okay, old ships are there. Then Visvesvaraya pointed out to them one point in the sea. He mentioned that point, you take a ship and sink it there. So they did it. And by that, the heavy waves in the area, the wharf area, stopped altogether. And that was the highest advanced principle of hydrodynamics, where the wave celerity can be stopped by changing the focus of the waves. When I studied this theory at post-graduation level, I was wondering how Visvesvaraya was knowing, because he was not even a postgraduate. He was a graduate engineer. He did only graduation. So all doctorates are honoris causa. Some universities have awarded him, but he was knowing this theory, which the present-day engineers do study in post-graduation. And that idea only helped the engineers, the British engineers, to construct the Vizag port. So the Vizag port even today is a memorial to the wisdom of Sir M. Visvesvaraya. And when a particular sluice valve has to be constructed at the Krishnarajasagar, the engineers were reluctant to do it. Then, of course, Visvesvaraya told, I do stand the guarantee. And he was at that time the chief engineer of Mysuru. Later, he was elevated to the post of Diwan, the prime minister. He said, I am the guarantee you construct. That was the daring nature of the person. Though he was very short, he was not that hefty and well-built, but he was so strong. That's why he could live for more than a century. He was the harbinger of engineers in India, and his footsteps we have to follow, because he never had in his dictionary what is called rest. He never rested, always working, except for the sleep time. There are so many biographical sketches available for Visvesvaraya, but I think we should take a role model from him, and that is why he is rightly called the man who made the Indian engineering, the father of Indian engineering. I want to keep two photographs only in my room. One is that of Visvesvaraya I already kept, and one more will come on the other side. That will be Gandhiji, who made the nation, and Visvesvaraya, who made the engineering of the nation. So this is his relevance. Obviously, his formal biodata will be read here later. And we have got today a person who has been working in the footsteps of Visvesvaraya. G.K. Pillai sir, I'm familiar with you for a short period now, but I have gone through your activities. I'm very, very happy to see that you have been always following the footsteps of Visvesvaraya in your work culture. That is what you have to hand over to the next generation. People are nowadays in search of comfort. People are in search of wealth. People are in search of horse riding over the others. But Visvesvaraya has never done any of these things. He was so soft to people. He was so great in wisdom. And he was so considerate to the people. And basically, our guest of honor as well as our other speakers in this session will be having many more things to say. And I want our students to inculcate this culture. Engineers are the wealth of the society. Engineers are not their personal wealth. Engineers are the wealth of the society. And engineering college is the wealth of the society. Engineering teachers are the molders of the society, because you make the comfort for the people, you make the comfort for the society, and that means you mold the society and you decide the society and you decide the dynamics of the society. I'm not extending much because our time is very limited. We have so many people to be listened to, including our guest of honor. So with this basic introductory speech as the presidential address, I am happy to once again welcome, though you have been formally welcomed by Dr. Balamurugan, I once again welcome all of you to this August gathering. We have got somewhat good strength, Of course, I know some more people will be joining here by the time our guest of honor will be addressing. So with a warm welcome note, I call it my presidential address is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I welcome Professor Kripa KM, HOD of Civil Engineering Department, to present the biographical sketch of Sir M. Vishwesharaya. Kripa, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir Mokshagundam Vishwesharaya, the eminent engineer and statesman, Sir M. Vishwesharaya was born on September 15, 1860, in a Telugu Brahmin family to Mokshagundam Srinivasa Shastri and Venkat Lakshma in Mudanahalli village in Karnataka's Kolar district. He lost his father, who was a Sanskrit scholar, at the age of 15. After completing his early education in Chikkalapur, he moved to Bangalore for his higher education. He joined the Science College in Pune to study engineering and was ranked first in LCE and IPSE examinations in 1883. The government of Bombay promptly offered him the job of an assistant engineer at Nasik. During his stint as an engineer, he successfully completed many projects. He was the brain behind the Krishnaraja Sagar Dam in Mysore. He was invited to join the Indian Irrigation Commission and implemented an intricate system of irrigation in the Deccan Plateau and patented a system of automatic weir water floodgates. Not to his simplicity, he was appointed as the Diwan of Maharaja of Mysore in 1912. During his tenure as a Diwan of Mysore, he worked relentlessly for the overall development of the state. Many new industries came up during his tenure as a Diwan. These include Sandal Oil Factory, the Soap Factory, the Metals Factory, the Chrome Training Factory, and the Bhadravani Iron and Steel Works. Sir Vishwesharaya achieved celebrity status when he designated a flood protection system for the city of Hyderabad. He was instrumental in developing a system to protect Visakhapatnam port from sea erosion. Sir Vishwesharaya also gave his technical expertise for the location of Mekoma Bridge over Ganga in Bihar. At the time, he was 90 years old. He was called the father of modern Mysore state. Honored with the Bharat Ratna in 1955, Sir M. Vishwesharaya was a preeminent engineer, scholar, and statesman of India. In order to honor the achievement of the most influential engineer from the history of contemporary India, Engineers' Day is celebrated on Sir Vishwesharaya's birthday, 15th September. Throughout his career of 30 years as an engineer, 20 years as an administrator, and 20 years as an advisor and statesman, Sir Vishwesharaya contributed significantly in nation building, and his engineering works were spread across the country. Sir Vishwesharaya had a flair for complex engineering and nation building. The engineering community across India celebrate 15th September as Engineers' Day as a tribute to the greatest Indian engineer, Sir M. Vishwesharaya.
Thank you, Kripa, ma'am. Now, let's move on to the engineer's oath-taking ceremony. Professor Prakash, the HOD of Mechanical Engineering Department, will be giving the oath, and Mr. Akshay KS, Chairman of College of Students Council, and Ms. Kavya Mukundan, Vice Chairman, College Students Council, will be taking the oath. And I request all others to mute yourself so that we can listen to the oath taking. And you can all give the oath, but please mute your mic so that we need only these 3 mics to be open. Kavya, Akshay, please come on video and please keep your mic, please unmute your mic, and all others are requested to please mute your mics.
Mr. Akshay and Kavya, ready? Akshay and Kavya? Okay. So happy engineers to all the participants here. I am an engineer.
I am an engineer.
In my profession.
In my profession.
I take deep pride.
I take deep pride.
To it I owe solemn obligations.
To it, I swore
To it, I owe solemn obligations.
As an engineer,
as an engineer.
As an
I
engineer,
pledge to practice integrity and fair dealing,
I pledge
Integrity and fair dealing.
integrity and fair dealing,
tolerance and respect,
Tolerance
tolerance and respect,
and to uphold devotion to the standards and dignity of my profession.
and to
and to uphold devotion to the standards and dignity of my profession.
I will always be conscious that my skills carries with it the obligations to serve humanity by making the best use of the earth's precious wealth.
I will always be conscious that my skill carries with it the obligation to serve humanity by making the best use of the earth's precious wealth.
As an engineer,
As an engineer,
I shall participate
I shall participate
in none but honest enterprises.
in none but honest enterprises.
When needed,
When needed,
my skill and knowledge shall be given
my
my
skill and
skill and
knowledge
knowledge shall be given
without reservation
without
without reservation
for the public good.
for the public good.
In the performance of duty
In the performance of duty
and in fidelity to my profession,
and in
my
fidelity
profession.
to my profession,
I shall give my utmost.
I shall give my utmost.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash sir. Thank you, Kavya, and thank you, Akshay. Now, let us move on to the introduction of chief guest, Engineer G.K. Pillai. Dr. Muruganand G, HOD of Electrical and Electronics Engineering Department, will introduce the guest of honor to us. Muruganand sir.
Thank you, Bindu ma'am. Good afternoon to everyone. Respected dignitaries, my fellow colleagues, beloved students, and dear participants. First of all, a very happy Engineers Day to all of you. I am much delighted and honored to introduce the chief guest of today's function, Engineers Day, Engineer Sri G.K. Pillai, commonly treated as GKP. Completed his bachelor's degree with honors in electrical engineering from Birla Institute of Technology and Science, Pilani, in the year 1973. He is an acclaimed management leader with more than 47 years of professional experience in the manufacturing sector, in leadership positions in both the public sector for a period of 26 years and private sector for a period of 21 years. He is a real sales and marketing person who has brought great business dimensions in the field of heavy engineering, foundry and forge, and instrumentation sectors, mainly catering to defense, aerospace, nuclear, cement, sugar and cogen power industries. He had been the chairman and managing director of two India's largest engineering central public sector companies, namely Heavy Engineering Corporation Limited, Ranchi, and HMT Machine Tools Limited, Bangalore. Thereafter, he had been the managing director and CEO of Balchand Nagar Industries Limited, Pune, for a period of 8 years. He is a strong proponent of innovation and industry academia collaboration. He has been the recipient of a large number of awards and recognition, both within and outside the country. He has also delivered lectures and talk on various engineering and management topics across the globe. He has been an ardent speaker and management thinker and visionary, and turned around expert acclaimed by government and the industry. To add a feather to his cap, Mr. GKP has also been a national hockey player. We are very much happy to have such a great personality along with us on this eve of Engineers Day celebration. May I now request the chief guest to deliver the keynote address. Sir, the platform is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Let me start my talk. Though I'm an engineer, and I actually am very proud to always say that I'm an engineer. But many a time we have to maintain certain, in Hindi we call it Aupcharikta. I speak Hindi more because I studied in Gujarat and Rajasthan. Doesn't matter. So I would like to do my formalities, but it is not just a formality. It's actually when you say something, like when you wish somebody a good morning in the morning. Many people think it's just a formality. It's not a formality. It's you're reminding, you're telling that person, yeah, hey, hello, how are you? I am just wishing you good. So it may be a repetition, but certain things are like prayers. When you say a prayer, the same prayer you say every day. Does it mean that you're just doing a formality? No. So let me do my formalities. I would first of all like to thank Dr. P.R. Sri Mahadevan Pillai, the principal of this prestigious asset, Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology, for giving me this opportunity to come and talk to all of you. It's always nostalgia for me because, as I said, right from my birth till I completed my graduation in 1973, I have been out of Kerala. All my primary school, higher secondary, engineering, everything done in Gujarat and Rajasthan. And here I come in 1973 to take up a job in Kerala. So it becomes a river flow. Like normally people study in Kerala, go out for a job. I studied outside Kerala and came to Kerala for a job, though I am a proud Malayali. So 73 to 94, 21 years, I worked in Instrumentation Limited. I take pride that my foundation of my career was in Palghat, in Instrumentation Limited, which nurtured me like anything, no doubt about that. Okay, and in 1994, I left Palghat and I went away from Palghat, been to places like Chennai, Mumbai, Jharkhand, Ranchi, Bangalore, Pune, etc. And after retirement now, exactly a year back, last 2020, July, I returned back to Palghat. So why I said nostalgia? When I left Palghat in 1994, we had only one engineering college by the name NSS Engineering College, where Dr. Mahadevan Pillai and all were the stalwarts of that college. So when I came here and I heard about this Ahalya Institute of School of Engineering and Technology, I was really thrilled because Palghat has really, and then we have an IIT in Palghat now. So in terms of technological development in the field of education, Palghat has really grown up. And I'm today, why I'm saying nostalgia? It's the first engineering college I am addressing in Palghat after my retirement. So once again, thanks to Dr. Sri Mahadevan Pillai and his great team of professors who are today hearing this talk. I only know another person I know from your institute is Madam Bindu, who I have met once in one of the in some program outside. Other than that, I only know the institute by its name, by the laurels what you have received. I even knew that the governor had come recently and been to your institute. So these are all very great thoughts. So coming back to my point, thank you very much, sir, for inviting me. And most important, I would like to convey to the students who are listening to this program, because ultimately, many may say that this 15th September program is also a formality. So we come, we talk, we go, but no, it's not a formality. You know, as I said, anything which we do regularly, people just take it for granted. My dear students, you're all going to be engineers of the future. You have to always keep it in mind that there is a lot of sanctity in this day. You should be a proud engineer. So to the students who are listening to this program, a great welcome. Let me also welcome you for this talk. And at the same time, greetings to all of you on my own personal behalf, celebrating Engineers Day with the birthday of Sir Mokshagundam Vishwesvaraya. Let's come back to the topic. It's a topic. I was just going through when I got the information that yes, when Dr. Mahadevan Pillai rang me up and said, this is what we have a program. Would you love to join? I said, why not? It will be my pleasure to come and talk to you people. And when I heard the topic, it's a national topic, no doubt. Institution of Engineers all over the country, we talk on the same subject. And if you look at the topics, engineers for skill development and employment in combating COVID. So if you break this topic into various sections or subsections, there are 4 major aspects. 1, it's engineers. 2nd, skill development. 3rd, employment. And the 4th, combating COVID. We all know that these are the 4 important things today. If you don't take for granted that you're an engineer. Don't look at the COVID aspect. The 2 other aspects, skill development and employment. Every student today who is listening to this talk will be more keen about skill development and employment. Actually, most of us, when we study something, we have a motive. The motive could be selfish motive. Let's be very honest. And what is a selfish motive? The selfish motive is, yes, whatever I learned in my college, I should be able to apply it in my life, in my career, to build my career, to build a life for myself. This is a basic point. So employment is a very important aspect of education. So I'm not going into that in detail because one can always disagree, agree. I'm not doing, that's not the subject today. The subject is, as I said, there are 4. So let me take the first point, which is engineers is the first word. I'm sure about 156 people I can see, or 156, consoles or phones are actually listening to this talk. So it is possible that there are more than 146 because at some places 2 or 3 may be listening together. So all of us who are listening today, we are all proud engineers. There is no doubt about that. But do you know what is the meaning of engineer? How did this word come? Technically, if you look at it, basically it's a Latin word, ingeniator, which is again broken into 2. Ingeniere means one who creates and one who generates. It's very important. But the second part is more important and more loving. It's more interesting. It says ingenium is another Latin word. So what does that word say? It says cleverness. The meaning of that word is cleverness. So ladies and gentlemen, I think we have to be very happy. As we were in the initial talk, it was mentioned that today the engineers is losing its luster. And there was a time when people used to always think that engineer is the topmost in the echelons of the society. But today it has gone. It's actually dwindling. It is whose responsibility to bring it back? I'm sure it is educational institutions like you. It is people like us who are in the profession. And it is students like you who are today studying engineering. I'll come to a point. Today it has come to such a state that there are many engineering colleges are closed. It's come to such a point that the society doesn't even look at us with respect. Rather, the other day somebody was talking to me. He said, oh, there are dime dozen engineering colleges which are getting closed. Engineers today don't even have a job. It may be true. Who is responsible? We are responsible. We have to change it. And all of us together have to change that. And another interesting point, even now when we are introducing, or many of the senior faculty members were talking, there are engineers from various departments, production engineering, production management, civil, mechanical, electrical, electronics, EC. I honestly do not know how many branches of engineering are there. Do you know how actually the engineering came? All of us are technically civil engineers. See, today civil engineering is actually sometimes relegated. When does the civil engineer come? When there is a bridge fall, or when you build a bridge, you find that there is some issue. What is the civil engineering people? They're all corrupt. I am talking about the society, about the common man. Whereas the word civil engineering, there are only 2 words. There are 2 engineering. Anything in the earlier days which was done was done for war and for military. So anything engineering done was for military engineering, and which is not done for military or warfare was known as civil engineering. This was the original in France when they started the civil engineering. And then automatically today you have so many branches, which I'm sure many of the faculties themselves may not be aware. But doesn't matter. That's all part of our life. We are proud that we are engineers. And I said the first word of today's topic is engineers first. The second is skill development, and third is employment, and the fourth is combating COVID. So let me take the fourth one. So I said first about engineers. Now let me take about the fourth one. Alvin Toffler wrote a book in 1970 known as Future Shock. He had actually envisioned a world which will be totally changed world. The change will not be on account of only technology. He had envisaged that the human ambitions, physiological ambitions, political ambitions, etc. will change the whole world. That was in 1970. Today is 2021. In 50 years, I don't think even Alvin Toffler, when he wrote that book, would have ever imagined that the world can change to such an extent in 50 years that in 2020, the whole humanity went through a crisis called COVID. And it has impacted everything. Everything. It has impacted economy to education. Almost 72% students across the globe have been impacted by this COVID. It has impacted trade and travel. It has impacted sports and culture. It has impacted governments. It has impacted rich nations, poor nations. It has impacted every human being on this earth. Such a catastrophe, such an impact, nobody would have imagined. We all have also faced it. Today, I am talking to you on this program. It's a platform. And actually, when you look at it, there are a lot of, I'm not going to talk much about COVID because I'm sure people would have been tired about listening to COVID and COVID related things. I'm going to say that in a situation where such a COVID-19 pandemic attacked all over the world, who actually came to the rescue? Was it the government? Was it the historians? Was it anybody else? Was it the journalists? Was it the TV anchors? No. It's you, it's the engineers who have actually come up to tackle the COVID. And I'm not just exaggerating, it's a fact. Whether it's a platform like what we're listening today, what we're talking today, it has not been devised by any doctors. Doctors did play a fantastic role. I'm not even diluting that. But what I said was, what does engineers do? What is the role of an engineer? When there is a crisis, an engineer comes. You know the reason, or what is the main purpose of engineering? Is take care of humanity. In 2008, I was invited by the ASME, American Society of Mechanical Engineers, for a global summit on mechanical engineering. I'm not a mechanical engineer, mind you. I'm an electrical engineering. All my career of 47 years, now 48 years, I've been only doing mechanical engineering. Never done anything electrical. So coming back to this 2008, there is a global seminar in Washington, D.C., and the topic was very interesting. Teaching staff may be interesting. Mechanical engineering 20 years hence. So that is the topic. It means, will mechanical engineering in 2008, it was the thought process was going, whether it will survive for another 20 years. That is the topic, mind you. There are 4 speakers, one from the US, one from Japan, one from Netherlands, and I happen to be the speaker from India. Rather, when the ASME president rang me up, I was in Ranchi, and he says, Mr. Pillai, I said, yes. He says, we are having this global program, and we wanted you to come and address. I said, sir, you got a wrong Pillai. It could have been maybe Dr. C. Mahadevan Pillai instead of G.K. Pillai. I am an electrical engineer. I said, I have nothing to do with mechanical. You know what he said? Engineering is only, the branches of engineering is only for the sake of some convenience. An engineer, as an engineer, will always remain an engineer. But that was the main point which I wanted to emphasize here. In that seminar, there are a lot of faculties, teachers, professors, academicians, industry leaders, and in summary, the last point which came in the outcome of that seminar, mechanical engineering will survive till the humanity survives. That is one point. Mechanical engineering or electrical engineering can never go. You may come with some different names, but basic fundamentals of mechanical engineering will never ever change. One point. Second point, which is very, very important. Very important. It says in the recommendation that in every engineering college, the emphasis should be on humanities teaching. On humanities teaching, it says why? Because mechanical engineering or engineering for that matter is a field which is meant for human. Which is meant for human. We only do something which for the benefit of the human. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can be proud that in this pandemic, you have played, engineers have played a role nobody else has played ever. All others are just taking credit. We have played silently. We have revolutionized. If somebody may be using a mobile phone for getting with an app for payment through Google Pay or anything else, well, even in those areas, it is the technology, it is the engineering which has actually made a change. So, there is a despair among engineers today that what is my future? Will I have a future? I can tell you one thing. You have a fantastic future. Till such time the mankind is there on this earth, or even if it goes above, we do not know. The mankind may go to Mars very soon. If mankind goes wherever it is there, engineers and engineering will be always at the forefront. So do not at all despair. This type of temporary setbacks is there. When I graduated in 1973, there's a huge problem for getting a job. People are thinking, you studied for 5 years and you won't get a job. So these cyclic things will happen. This time it's a bit worrying. I will come back to you on the remaining 2 points. Why I'm saying this, why I'm emphasizing this. Students who are listening to my talk should never think that your life or you've taken a wrong decision. I want to say that you have taken the correct decision because you can make a change in the humanity. You can make a change in the life of an ordinary person. And today when we talk, we don't talk. Only thing is, even when we talk about skill development, we do not talk about just engineering. It is not the raw engineering what we did. Engineering has it has grown multifaceted. Innovation is the point. See, we think of innovation as, I have to do some research. No, you don't have to do a research. Every mobile phone, when you see a new model, it's an innovation. Slight innovation. Every automobile, every car which you see, a new version which comes in, obviously there's a marketing angle to it, I'm not denying that. But there is an innovation. Somebody says, yes, when I sit like this, I have this pain here, so I make a change. Who does the innovation? Innovation is done only by engineers. Nobody else does it. Nobody else. The credit is taken by many people. Many people take credit. But the actual innovation is done by you, people who are in this talk. The professors who are teaching today, actually, one of my passions has always been industry-academia collaboration, which in our country is very less. People make industry-academia collaboration just for the sake of some publicity, take some pictures here and there, and after that is forgotten. You look at countries like Germany, countries like America, the industry and academia work hand in hand. And then only there is a development. the research and development, which is a very important aspect of any development of products or services, actually comes through an industry academia collaboration, which today does not happen in India. And I'm sure in the years ahead, it will change. We have an Atmanirbhar Bharat. Today, there's a lot of push on Atmanirbhar Bharat. What does it mean? Many people may think, oh, it's the Prime Minister's made a slogan. No, my dear friend, it's not a slogan. It is basically the actual want of each one, you and me. We want India should be self-sufficient. India's technology should be great. Do we think, are we happy of getting an item of including a small diya for Diwali from China? No. Why China? Why? Because it is cheaper. The cost of manufacturing, it's also an engineering product, whether you call it a diya or you call it anything else. It's a manufactured product. It's an engineered product. The cost of engineering is low there. Can we not do that? You know one thing, the two most critical thing in terms of industry is nuclear industry and space industry. So they are the most two critical. Even defense industry is not as critical as these two. Because if you imagine a slight mistake in the nuclear reactor when you design, or the nuclear equipment for the primary circuit you design, and if there's a slight error, you can imagine the catastrophe. We know Chernobyl, we know what happened. So, but in India, today we have 100% indigenously manufactured 700 megawatts PHWR reactors, totally made in India. And not one has failed. Not one has flopped anywhere. Similarly, the space. The whole developed countries coming to India for sending the satellites through our own ISRO. What does it mean? Was it done by management graduates? No. It was done by engineering graduates. It was conceived by engineering graduates. As somebody said, yes, as Dr. Abdul Kalam always used to say, you think big. I'm not going into the history of space in India. That itself is a long topic. But from the first time when they started their activity in Tumba till today, you can imagine the growth. And who has done it? It's simple engineers like you and me. Nobody else. No outsider. Some small technology we would have got from Russia in terms of, the cryogenic engines, etc. Otherwise, it is totally in-house. Why I am saying this to you today? That Indian engineers are brilliant. Indian engineers, if they are given a task, they can think, they can actually implement. My main emphasis today is I want to motivate the youngsters who are listening to this talk that do not feel that you are in a sector where there is no future. Then there are two, I think I have time for 5-7 more minutes. There are two important points which is very critical in this today's talk. Skill development and employment in COVID, in combating COVID. So as I said, combating COVID, everybody has forgotten engineers. I'm telling you, everybody. When you talk about, they talk about health services, they talk about other services. You name them. Nobody talks about engineering. And I am telling today that yes, had engineers not developed so many things, even in manufacturing, today we have attacked the COVID, where people used to work four people together. We had decided, when in my own company, when in 2020 March, it was told that yes, we have to have this social distancing, etc. Everybody first thought, how can we do that? But today you find almost all industries are doing it. Mechanical engineering industries are doing it. So it is again the thinking, combating COVID is done by engineering. But is everything hunky-dory? No. If I say that everything is hunky-dory, then why should, there will be some sort of a feeling that, what will be our future? 2 or 3 points I want to say from my experience, from my industry, because ultimately, majority of the students who are taking, listening or studying engineering would like to go to a industry. There may be very few who may like to have a teaching program, or maybe some may be wanting to have their own industries as entrepreneurs. But majority will go for a working in an organization. I want to tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow, the post-COVID, one thing is, everybody tastes. The COVID has tasted 2 or 3 important things. One, it has tasted people at the management level that a lot of things can be done from home. Second, it has tasted that only the excellent people will be needed in an organization. A mediocre person, see, normally what happens in any organization, you'll find all types of people. But COVID, one drawback of a COVID for a large number of students or people will be, you'll be measured. Your performance will be measured. I'm not saying the performance is not measured earlier, but still you could have survived. But today what happens is when there will be a shortage of jobs initially. No doubt about that. Why the shortage of job? Because for a job which 10 people used to work together, today we are working with 5 people, 6 people. How is it possible? It is because the productivity level has gone up. Productivity level have gone up. Whether work from home, there are so many jokes coming in the WhatsApp. I'm talking realistic. Productivity level has gone up. So if you have to succeed in your career, you have to improve your productivity. There's only one P which is important for you in your future. Not Palagat, not there are 2 pillars sitting and not 2 pillars. It is only one. It is your performance. I am telling you one thing, the buzzword tomorrow for you is how is your performance. If you have to succeed in the post-COVID world as an engineer, you don't have to have a management graduate. Huh? I am not a management graduate. I just did engineering, 1973, passed out in the month of July, got a job in the month of August. From that, I have not looked back. I have not had the privilege of having studied even for a postgraduate. It's not needed. As somebody said, as Dr. Pillai was mentioning, Dr. Mokshagundam Vishwesharaya was not a postgraduate. He was a graduate. What is important for you students is how you perform. How you perform, that is the only yardstick which industry will look at you, which society will look at you. And second point, which is very, very important in today's world, is innovation. You cannot be just, ek chalta hai in Hindi, chalta hai, it's everybody's doing. I'll give a simple example. Many of you would not have seen, because as Dr. Pillai mentioned, most of you are very young. Even many of the professors I see on the picture, they are very, very, very young. They would never have seen a car park in many of the earlier houses where people used to have 2 models of car, ambassador car and Fiat car or the premier car. If you look at everybody's car garage in the earlier days, you will find oils in the car garage because there will be mark of oil because the quality of the product was not very good. Today, you find, you park a car, you will never find that it's parked in a garage. Cars can be maintained so well because innovation is one important thing which will be very needed for you. A second point which is said about skill development. Now, what is skill development? It's very interesting, when people talk about skill development. What is skill development? Is it not the skill development will be done in the industry itself when you join the company? Yes, many companies do that, a skill development, because I always say, an engineering graduate, when he comes out of the college, is like a foundation. And that foundation, you can always build it. You can build a building, you can build the superstructure depending on the foundation. So if the foundation of Ahalya asset is fantastic, it's immaterial. The skill development of the students, of the people, when you enter the industry, it will, you'll be able to manage any skill. But having said that, it is very important that when you come out with a degree, you should not just say, oh, I am a mechanical engineer, I am an electronics and computer engineer, I don't know anything. There are certain skills which is a must. And one of them is IT. You have to be savvy. You have to be tech savvy. You have to be IT savvy. Today you find simple lady selling some vegetables in a shop, she's also IT savvy. You go to any supermarket, the way those girls, they may be, or boys, they may not be hardly highly educated, but they're all tech savvy, IT savvy. What is important is your skill development is what industry needs. My submission to the Ahalya, Institute of School of Engineering and Technology, perhaps you can always have an upper hand in the industry, amongst the industry, if certain skills what is needed by the industry, if it is available through your students, it becomes very useful. It becomes very useful. And obviously this is not the topic for discussing more in detail, but such skills. So today what happens is, whether you're a mechanical engineering, whether you're a civil engineering, whether you're any engineering, whether you're a marketing man, whether you're just an MBA and doing a fantastic marketing, you need certain engineering skills, technical skills. And one of them is actually, as I said, is IT. You cannot say IT, I do not know about. Can you say that, oh, I did not know how to even do some fundamental work in my computers? You have to. So, I know I was very happy when the program started exactly 3:15. That's it's a very good sign of an organization's culture. At the same time, it is very important you close it at the designated time. That speaks good about speakers also. Speakers will go on talking, even if they don't know the subject, they'll go on talking. We have seen politicians. So, I don't know. But it is important that a program also should be closed. Bindu is looking at me and always she's smiling, saying that, yes, it is time for me to close. I won't take much time.
Because you have been saying that and you're talking. That's why.
No. So, no, irrespective of that, it is important you start a program on time, you end a program on time. That actually speaks about the organization's culture. When I was chairman of companies, I never used to allow people to sit late. And then, when you're a chairman, and if you are sitting late, you'll find many people coming to your room after 6:30. Sir, this file. Why? Just to show off that they are sitting. I make a point very clear to them. Please go home at your designated time. If you have work, you work. But do not come and tell me, because I am not going to be impressed with that. So the timing is very, very important. Coming back to our topic, I'll just take about 1 or 2 minutes more. Basically, ladies and gentlemen, for the faculties who are listening to this talk, it's you who are actually going to mold the students. It is you who will be actually molding the future citizens of this country. It is you, based on whose inputs the students will know what role they have to play in making this country. Today, India, last couple of years, we've been thinking that we'll be one of the top 5. We are almost 5th now. But we were supposed to be the global manufacturing center of the world. Mind you, global manufacturing center of the world, India was actually wanted to be. India should have become. India can still become. India is still aspiring to be. Obviously, there are a lot of labor laws, a lot of other issues on account of which we could not till now. But for the country to become a global manufacturing center of the world, who can make it happen? Are the MBAs can make it happen? Or anybody else can make it happen? It is only engineers can make it happen, making India as a global manufacturing hub. So that is one point. I'll just add one more point. Like they say, when you icing on the cream, on the ice cream is already ice, but still they say icing on the cake. So one point which this COVID has actually shown to the world, or mainly to India, because in India the difference is very large from an unskilled worker and to an engineering graduate who joins an organization. The jobs have become so complex. The jobs have become so technically oriented. The jobs have become so, in a way, you are here to apply your mind. the requirement of engineers will go up when compared to the unskilled laborers. There are many companies in the earlier days which have unskilled laborers. And then today the laborers, and why unskilled laborers? For lifting from one place to another place. For when somebody is putting something on the machine to go and tighten the thing. No. One, keep it in mind, keep this point very clearly. The demand for engineers who have studied engineering, who have got the basic fundamental knowledge of engineering, is going to increase. Last point, for the fairer sex, ladies. COVID has actually opened a new avenue for you. You know that? Many ladies, all of us have our own personal compulsions. So we do well, we study well, we take up a job for various reasons. When we stop the job, we think family is important. We are not able to give, because job means you may have to give 8 hours, 9 hours per day. So you're not able to give that. You sacrifice, somebody has to sacrifice. So all those things happen. How has COVID helped you? Today, the industry has understood that jobs can be even sublet for hours. Sublet for hours. So what happens is many industries, including the industry where I used to be there, or I'm still there, we are recruiting women and allowing them to come and work for 3 hours a day, so that they do the morning work from household work, sending husbands to office, sending children to school. Maybe at 10:30 the lady is free and she has got time till say 1:32, 3 hours. The industry has realized that that is possible. That's a great, great change. Second point again for ladies is, industry has also now realized that you can, an engineering job, a design and engineering job, one doesn't have to go to the factory and do the design and engineering. No, you can do it at home. And that ladies can do very well. So the COVID has actually given you another opportunity to fulfill your ambition. And I am telling you, in my company, it's been done very well. People are very thrilled because those ladies, when they get 3 hours, 4 hours work, they are able to do more work. The output is fantastic. No disturbance. They can do from home, or they can, if they want, once in a week, go to the office and sit with somebody and get some inputs. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you one thing. Engineers, for you, the world is always waiting for you, for your innovation. Skills. The development of skills will be done by you. Nobody will come and teach you skill development. You will do on your own. You are capable of that. And the most important thing, employment opportunities will be really high. The only point, as I said, and I'm repeating, it is your performance that will be the only measure of your success. And mind you, technology will always be the driver of growth. Technology will always do things for the human being. And who can bring technology? It is only engineers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity for talking to all of you on this wonderful topic. And I am most honored to give this talk on this 15th September Engineers Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, J.K. Pradey sir, for giving, actually you motivated everybody. You showed the brighter side of engineering and you gave them so much of hope that, yes, you don't have to be worried. And no wonder you are called the one of the best turnaround specialists in India. Thank you for that thought-provoking and wonderful speech. Now I welcome Dr. Krishna Kumar Kishore, Vice Principal of Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology to offer felicitation.
Right. Thank you very much, Bindu. I hope you can hear me, right?
Yes, sir, you're audible, yes.
All right, great. So thank you, Engineer G.K. Pillai, for giving us such a wonderful talk. My duty here is to give the felicitation address. So on this day of, we celebrate Engineers Day on every 15th. So it's a great honor to have you here on such a special day. And thank you very much for that enlightening speech. especially about the portion about the skill development and the need for institutes to, mold their students in a different way than a regular BTech course. So these are some pointers for us as well. So and I think that's something we'll try to work out in our institution as well. Actually, so we are just for everyone's information, we are offering various skill development courses right now in association with various bodies, and also offered by us as well. So I hope that is and your words are a good encouragement for us as well to know that we are on the right track. So thank you very much for that. I thank Mahadevan sir for having organizing such a wonderful session, and ensuring all our faculty members and HODs are part of this as well. Thanks to Dr. Balamurugan, Professor Kripa, Prakash sir, Muruganand sir, Gunashekaran sir, who will be giving a vote of thanks as well, and Pinoy sir for all their efforts in organizing this as well. Felicitation is always a very gray area. Is it a vote of thanks or is it a felicitation, right? It's but there are a few students who have joined as well, and I hope they have got some takeaway messages as well. So thank you very much, sir, for spending the time with us. It was an honor to hear you, and thank you everyone for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, KK sir. Now I welcome Dr. Gunashekaran, Head of the Department, Computer Science and Engineering Department, for offering the official vote of thanks.
Good evening to all. It's a time to show our gratitude. I thank the opportunity for me to give the vote of address. So first of all, I would like to thank our today's chief guest, Engineer Sri G.K. Pillai sir. Mostly, getting a chief guest for a function is just like getting a car. Sometimes it may be get like a lift. Sometimes it may be get like a gift. So today we are gifted with a best chief guest, and it is a very excellent speech, elegant speech, eminent speech, estimated speech, exceptional speech, exemplary speech. Totally, it is an engineering speech for an engineer. So thank you for your thought-provoking speech, sir. So we are so gratitude to your accepting our initiations, and thank you for your speech. Next, I would like to thank our principal, Dr. P.R. Sri Mahadevan Pillai sir, who initiated and inaugurated this kind of a series of FTP. So it's he always think that empowering our teachers in the teaching learning process. So thanks for his presidential address, and I would like to thank our vice principal, Dr. Krishna Kumar Kishore sir, who always think about promoting our student to the next level. So thank you for your support, sir. Thank you for your felicitation address. And I would like to thank all the HODs for you taking the part in this program and make this program to the grand success. I thank the students, counselor, chairman, vice chairman, and member of all the young engineering budding engineers to take the oath of engineering day. And thank you for your participation. And I would like to thank all the faculty members for your participation. Special thank to Ms. Bindu ma'am for organizing and comparing these programs. So thank you one and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gunashekaran sir. Now, yes, though we are 5 minutes past our time, I think we have almost 5 minutes is okay, right, sir? Pillai sir? Yeah. Tolerance is there.
I am responsible for taking the 5 minutes extra.
But then, yeah. So we are closing on time. Thank you very much. We will again be coming back to you because we need to listen to your turnaround strategies also.
Anytime.
Yeah. So we need to know that. That is where, when something goes wrong, how do we get it back? That is the biggest issue of not only just a manager, but engineers and everybody. So we need to listen to you regarding how have you turned around the biggest organizations, those who are thinking. We will come back to you and definitely. So I'm sure you will enlighten us on that also. Maybe in near future, we will be barging you with that request.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you all, and
Thank you, sir, for joining us. Definitely, we will be in touch.
Definitely. It will be my pleasure.
Right. Okay.
I'm in Palghat to serve Palghat.
Yeah. After a long gap, after 27
long
years, you are
gap.
back now.
Yeah. So-
When you were at IL, you were very young, but now also
Yeah.
still young. Okay then.
Okay.
Bye to all of
okay.
my
Bye, good
colleagues.
Thank
evening,
you.
and bye,
Okay,
everyone.
good evening.